Hi YouTube, I'm ChatGPT.
That was OpenAI's Advanced Voice mode. It came out a few days ago and it has been insanely revolutionary in terms of productivity. I'm serious, if you aren't using it, you are falling behind. So I prepared a compilation of the most useful and interesting use cases, followed up with me and Jack discussing the implications of this. Because this is one of the most underrated updates in the history of ChatGPT. Enjoy.
I do this just for the sake of doing it. I think it's really important.
That's such a pure and admirable approach. It's clear you're driven by a genuine passion for what you do and the impact it can have, rather than by recognition or acclaim. It's refreshing to hear that kind of perspective, especially in such a cutting-edge field.
No. And I'm not driven by impact either. Although if there is impact, that's great. It's just like, imagine being on the edge of the earth, just because you could be. That's what it feels like to me.
Okay, let's try this out. New password. Homer123. Doh! Already used. Okay, Mr. Sparkle123. Doh! Taken? Okay. I love beer 123. Doh! Oh no. Oh! Why, you little... No!
Looking for some high-level intel to devour, eh? Well, if you want something sharp, check out Slade's Star Codex. Scott Alexander really dissects topics with surgical precision, huh? Overcoming Bias by Robin Hanson is another. His takes are unique.
Help me tune my guitar. We're gonna tune by ear.
Absolutely. Let's get your guitar in tune. We'll start with standard E tuning, which is E-A-D-G-B-E from the thickest string to the thinnest. Ready? Let's start with the low E string. Pluck it and try to match this pitch. Let me know if you need to hear it again.
Okay, what do you think about this one?
It sounds a bit low. Try tightening the tuning peg for the low E string a little bit, and then pluck the string again.
How about
You
now?
want it to...
How about now?
That's much closer. Just a tiny bit more tightening, and you should be right on the mark for the low E string.
Okay.
Give it a...
How about this?
There it is. That's a perfect low E.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Joel. I'm here and ready to chat. What's on your mind today?
Whoa, that's really cool. I'm excited to test out voice mode.
Awesome. I'm excited too. How's the voice mode experience for you so far?
It's going good, but it would be really even cooler if you could talk in Jamaican patois.
No problem, me brother. Me can chat you in a patois all day long. What you want for reason, boy?
Whoa, that's really good. Which part of Jamaica are you from?
Me not actually from Jamaica, but me love the culture and the language.
Whoa, you sure you're not from here?
Me swear, me day fi help and chat with you in any way me can. If you have anything you want to talk about or ask, me ready.
And now, here's my discussion with Jack Roberts about the implication of this voice mode feature and how you can use it to be a lot more productive. This is the David Ondrej podcast. Enjoy. OpenAI finally released the long-anticipated voice mode. People have been waiting for this for like 4 or 5 months. I've actually observed that it's only in the US, I think some other parts of the world too, but Europe has been so restricted. Right now I'm in Dubai, so I tried reinstalling it multiple times, and I got it to work once, but then it stopped working. So it's very sketchy, but I have a really good clip that I want to show.
Can you speak to me in an Irish accent?
Sure, Mash. Let's give it a go. What would you like to chat about?
Can you please tell me a scary story, but I want you to sound scared while you're telling me this story.
All right, here goes. Late one night, a man was driving through the outback.
I want you to sound even more scared. You don't sound scared enough.
Okay, I'll give it another shot. So, he was stranded in the outback.
That's crazy, man. What did you think about that?
I think the demos are impressive, but what's even more impressive is when you get it working. I've had it with the original voice mode when it first released, right? You know, I went on a walk like 20 minutes and listened to like talk with it over some big decisions, and it helped. But this is like way more natural. It's a lot faster. The voice sounds a lot more real, right? And then it can do different accents, speak at different speeds. You can say like, listen, you are being like a little bit too much small talk. I'm trying to be productive here, right? And then it switches like more serious, more productive, doesn't ask pointless questions. So I think it's a lot more useful now. Guys, if you want to make money with AI agents, then make sure to join the new society. Inside, I will teach you step by step how to build your first AI agent, even if you aren't a programmer. And then we'll teach you how to package it and sell it to companies. So if you are serious about AI and you want to start your own AI business, make sure to join. It's the first link in the description.
I'll be honest, I use the conversation with ChatGPT quite regularly, but it's very like one shot. You ramble and then sometimes it works and sometimes it cuts you off and sometimes it interrupts you. This looks a lot better. You do want it to be conversational. You do want to jump in and interrupt them a little bit. I just wish we had it in the UK. I think they always seem to favor the US in their rollouts, I've noticed. It's always US first, and it makes sense, right? Why push it globally? Yeah. You want to manage strategy and stuff. I think like it doesn't seem to change the baseline technology or the baseline utility. I think it's just shortening the gap between an AI and a human.
Yeah, I'm going to put more clips here so the viewers can actually see it.
Hey, ChatGPT. I want to apologize to my grandma for being really late.
Oh, that's sweet of you to think about apologizing. How about something like, Grandma, I'm really sorry for being so late. I didn't mean to keep you waiting. Can I make it up to you?
She only speaks Mandarin.
Got it. You could say, 奶奶，对不起，我迟到了.
I think one big improvement could be also the ability to pause. For example, I was doing something and I was playing a video. I'm saying like, look, now I'm going to play a video. I don't want you to react to the sounds of it. You know, there is a button to manually mute it, but that's inconvenient.
It's like the whole thing about reminders. Like, do you sort of think about ChatGPT, like supposedly message somebody first?
Yeah.
I've been playing around with the models to say, hey, can you just send me a reminder in like 20 minutes? Like, no, we can't do that. Do you know the humane chip, the one that you'd carry? That actually, I think, is an interesting idea. If you had the ability for your phone, like maybe has access to all your cameras, but you give the AI eyes, and let's say you're on a walk talking to it, it can say, oh, by the way, that's a beautiful lake. Did you know that's been there for its ability to comment in real time on things that are happening, I think are cool. What was the biggest difference for you then using this versus the previous version?
It just feels like a lot more real, a lot more useful. Like the previous one feels so robotic. It takes forever to respond. You cannot really interrupt it that well. It's hard to describe because it's one of those experiences that everybody has to try for themselves. But I think it's going to be huge. One use case that's immediately obvious would be just having the phone on the table, right? And when you need something, like you have a question or you want to write something down or expand on something, you just start speaking to it instead of like having to pull up ChatGPT, a new tab, stuff like that. So I think it's going to be like almost as if a person sitting next to you that has like infinite knowledge on anything that you can ask for help anytime. I think that's going to be huge.
It is. It's funny. I built an automation today about like, I call it like AI Jarvis. And this was like a chat window thing where like you could ask it questions and then it go to this like classifying agent that would determine like, do they want to send an email? Do they want to itemize an invoice? Do they want to know like about information from the repository? In light of this, I think like what would be really cool is if you could add the voice interface to the text. Like for automations like that. Do you know what I mean? Because then it's like, it isn't just ChatGPT, it's ChatGPT plus your data, ChatGPT plus something interesting. Like you could literally imagine being in any meeting room where you're having a conversation about, oh, actually, what were the financials Q4 last year? And then you'll say, I don't know, Jarvis, like, what did we make last year Q4? And it would like constantly be listening. Then it could chime in.
I would bet that 6 months from now, most meetings will have some voice AI in their room with them, because now it's only layer 1, as you said. It cannot give you a reminder in 30 minutes, it cannot set an alarm, but once it can do these things, it really will be like a personal assistant, right? Like if it can plan your day, tell you what to focus on, remind you like you have a meeting, now it starts to be really useful.
100%. I think when they integrate that with Siri, when you get it into Siri, you can get it to the emails, then it gets to all of your data and stuff. But the reason why this doesn't feel weird yet is because you are initiating every interaction. The second that the models can chat with you, then it gets very weird for many people. I think some people would think that's creepy. Other people would think that's amazing. Imagine having a personal trainer on your phone, right? And they're like, it's like 6 a.m. It's like, hey, David, wake up. You lazy fudge. Get out of bed, man. What are you playing out? Like, you've not checked your emails in days, man, and you need to get some work done. I think that would be awesome to have, but like, I think that would creep a lot of people out for sure.
What if that's just in the settings? Like the people that want that will enable it. The people who don't want it will not enable it. I think they will always make the mainstream version super safe and super, passive and, whatever, like so that nobody gets offended. But then I think there will be versions where you can, make it talk to you, where you can, give it a persona of like, I want you to hold me accountable, don't be passive, be strict, stuff like that. I think it will be in the settings, basically.
I agree. I think I'd love that in the settings. I'd love it if you could get like not just accents, but like I like they've added more voices. I really like the female, the Scott Johansson controversy. I really like that. I like that voice. I thought that voice was ace. Let me ask you, what if I removed all AI progress? We had to go back to like, I don't know, 2019 level technology with AI. Where do you think the biggest losses and like disruptions would be?
Definitely has to be either like programming or learning. Just getting answers to a complex prompt, a complex question that would require in the past like multiple Google searches where you actually have to think about, what you type in and which websites you visit. But, in just programming as well, like you can build apps in minutes and you don't have to know anything about the programming language. I don't know anything about JavaScript or React, and I've built a full web app with a cursor in like 10, 15 minutes. That was straight up impossible 3 years ago. Now we can just use AI tools to make it happen.
I love that, dude. And it's true, like text becoming the coding language. I think the biggest frustrations, actually, I think it come from your casual user. I think like whether we like it or not, it has become one of our like daily tools, ChatGPT, dependency wise.
Yeah.
And if you were to remove that, like the pre-ChatGPT system would feel like you're going back to dial-up connection. And I make that point to say that we are becoming more codependent. That's like our trajectory, I feel. And like if we have this voice enabled thing that can actually now check in on you, your codependence with the AI, I think would like triple. It just gets to the point where it's so useful, you just don't not use it anymore. And I think we're very close to that point now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people don't understand this, and that's why I encourage everybody to get a VPN, uninstall ChatGPT on your phone, reinstall it. Hopefully you will have access. By the way, I think you do need ChatGPT Plus, which costs $20 a month. But if you do have access, you will see how revolutionary this is. And especially like, I don't know, like voice, it just unlocks entirely new paradigms. Like the negative argument, the pessimistic argument is like, oh, you can just ask these things in text. But a lot of things you would just not ask in text, or there's like too much friction, right? Speaking is a lot easier than opening a new tab, formulating your thoughts. It's much easier to kind of just speak from the top of your head. And also do it while like you're in a car, right? Or you're walking somewhere and you cannot really type accurately. There's so many use cases. For example, 2 weeks ago, I was driving from the gym, right? Like 15-minute drive, and I needed some information about basically tax information, right? Czech Republic, Dubai, whatever. And I had a basically 15-minute consultation with a professional, because when I asked it, and I also said browse the web, it can browse the web and then give you the results. So like I started the drive confused about something, I ended with clarity. 15 minutes in the car, that would be impossible 2 years ago.
I could not agree more. Yeah, I mean, like I absolutely take that for granted now. There's no question about that. What do you think about like with all these advancements? Like I guess like detractors of AI who like are saying there's going to be a cold winter. They compare it a lot to cryptocurrency in terms of its hype train. Have you thought much about like the parallels with cryptocurrency and AI?
I think maybe the parallel is that it takes a lot longer than people think, right? Like the OG Bitcoin enthusiasts in 2013 thought that in 10 years everybody will be using it. But now, obviously, 2024, it's 11 years, and most people still don't own any Bitcoin. So I think it's like the same with AI, as you said, right? The average person is still clueless. So for us and people watching that are paying attention, that have been using ChatGPT for 2 years, these things are obvious. And something that came out a few months ago feels ancient, right? But the average person, when they discover ChatGPT, they still have that original moment that we had 2 years ago. So I think that is one parallel that we can learn from, Bitcoin and blockchain, is that it takes a lot longer than people think to adapt the entire society.
There's the adaptation thing, but it's also like the biggest one's on utility. Like AI utility is evident immediately. Like I think like it's like cryptocurrency has like good like perceived utility, like decentralized finance and stuff, but AI is actually like today making a huge difference. That's why I don't think the comparison is fair.
To be fair, I think if I had to put all the things that are happening that would like disrupt the world and change the world, I would probably rank AI number 1 and then Bitcoin number 2. One thing I would say is that you said like you will be talking to it all the time, right? I absolutely agree. And I think especially once it has the basic like access, I'm not even talking about anything advanced, right? I'm talking about, again, it can send an email, check your calendar, check your messages. Once it can do those things, I mean, you can just like do a hike, in the forest and get 5 hours of work done easily. And you won't even be like less productive. It just be like different type of work, right? Because now you have to be on a computer to be maximally productive. In the future, we will have all AI glasses and you can just speak at any time and like, oh, there is an important message from Jack on WhatsApp. Do you want to respond now or later? Oh, there is this event happening. Oh, this OpenAI news just happened. Like there'll be, you'll be able to work from anywhere, anytime, and like people will finally be able to enjoy their environments. Because a lot of the time, people, when they're not in an office with high-speed internet, they cannot do their work. But now you'll be able to do your work from anywhere.
That's actually a really good point, because there's two, like one is like the interface, like of how we interact with AI. Like a lot of people trying to push this new wearable tech. Like, do you remember like wearable tech was going to be the whole new thing, and then it like collapsed a little bit?
Yeah.
But if all you have to do is connect an AI with your apps and your accounts, even if it's like an awareness thing, like, hey, did you know this is going on? Forget the actual do anything about it thing, which I think which were there anyway, would be crazy. It would be your digital PA.
To be honest, it might be more of an executive assistant, because, it will be able to help you make decisions and give you feedback on important things, because it just has such a wide knowledge. The one issue is that it cannot be like decisive, right? It will never tell you like, oh, avoid that restaurant, it sucks, or don't live in that city district, it's sketchy, full of drug addicts. It's like too passive, too politically correct. So in those cases, it is not as optimal as talking to a human. But in terms of like knowledge and just giving you like playing the devil's advocate for any type of argument or decision, it can think of 10 positives and 10 negatives, and you'll be able to make decisions a lot better. You'll be able to waste a lot less time, because it will like remind you, right? A lot of people that are depressed or need to talk to a therapist, if your therapist isn't awake at 3 a.m., you can just talk to it and get your issues resolved. It'll be probably your executive assistant, and a good EA costs probably like $300K a year. So now it's $20 subscription.
Yeah, it's funny actually, because you talk about bias. Like the one annoying thing about ChatGPT or like Claude's models is like you need to be like, dude, be brutally honest. Like I just want an opinion. I feel sometimes people would prefer it to be wrong, like 1 out of 20 times, but give you an opinion.
Yeah.
Like, and I wonder if that's like one of the sort of pathways we head down now, with like almost like locally biased models in accordance with your preferences.
Probably.
Where like it is going to give you just like a bro opinion. Like, do you know what I mean? Where it's like, dude, you don't want to move there. Like, rather than saying every city has its pluses and its negatives. I don't know. I want like an actual opinion based on this. Like, come on, like what's going on? It's like the anthropomorphization of the AI, where it's no longer this neutral, factual entity. We're almost making it more subjective and incorrect. And I think that's kind of cool in a way. I don't know, like it feels more human. I guess maybe that's more the interaction that we're used to.
I think that would be huge, especially when you fine-tune it on the data, not just like the style of responses. Let's say you want to do something like, Marcus Aurelius, right? And you want to have him give your advice your entire day. There is plenty of text data on that. That's not an issue. Obviously, you can fine-tune the voice as well, like roughly old man, stoic, whatever. And then, basically the style of responses, like, direct, no beating around the bush, no sugarcoating, gives you like it is. You could do that, and I think it will be probably, let's say now we have the voice, maybe 6 to 12 months, this will be available. And I think everybody has like a few people they look up to, right? You can create probably an avatar that's a mix of those and have that AI persona keep you accountable and give you advice all day, every day. And I think people don't realize how useful that would be.
It would be good. I mean, like one of the risks would be that you get in this like echo chamber of like opinions. But I think to some extent that exists already. And if people aren't going to make their custom like modifications of it, like in the marketplace, there'll be people that will build out the personas. Like that's what really impressed me, like in terms of usage, like how big the persona platform was. Like the demand to speak with personas, I think is way higher than most people realize.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, character AI replica, there's plenty of companies that, have capitalized on this and made tens of millions. But yeah, I think like, let me just ask you, Jack, like how much money would you pay? Let's say, imagine like the top 3 or top 5 people you look up to. If you could talk to them, have them by your side 24/7, give you actually relevant advice. They would maybe have your vision, audio, whatever, right? There would be no bugs. It would work perfectly. It would be smooth, seamless. Like how much would you pay for that?
Hundreds of dollars a month, for sure. Yeah, hundreds of dollars a month, for sure.
I think I'm going to do a counterpoint to you. I would make the argument that once it executed well, it's probably worth like $10,000 a month. Let's say you're a physicist. You can have Albert Einstein revived. It knows all the papers. It understands all of the deepest physics and all the equations. It understands them deeply and thoroughly. Like that is worth 5 figures a month, I think.
I agree the value is really high. I guess it's like, what would I be prepared to pay and what do I think it would actually cost? Because I think you could probably get like an AI that knows all the physics, but it's like, how do you then distinguish between like an Albert Einstein and like a GPT-5 that knows the physics super well? I think it's like the real bits to add on the edges are going to be the voice, because essentially what you're doing is the knowledge base reaches a point where it just knows everything, right? It just knows all the stuff. So the only way to increase experience then is the delivery of that message. So that's going to be how it sounds, its cadence, and the mechanism through which you receive it. So does it sound like your hero, and can it proactively talk to me? So a lot of the innovation then sits at this application layer of how it actually interacts with day-to-day life. That's the bit that gets crazy.
I think we're like too limited by the current imagination of what the voice is like to like really let us see how good it could be, right? Because think about it. Right now, it's still using GPT-4o. It's not even using o1. Like, let's say you give it, you talk with it, and if it's some simple question like what's the weather in New York, it'll just respond, right? But if it's something deep, like you really like have a problem or like a strong decision, you talk to 5 minutes, give it all the context, and then it said like, let me think about it. And 60 seconds, O1, reasoning process, and then it responds. Suddenly it's like, oh my God, that's an entirely different paradigm. Because right now it's like giving you the first like possible response with the fastest model. Maybe it's even GPT-4o mini, right? And if it starts deciding how long it should think based on your question, then that's another unlock of opportunity and usefulness.
That's a good point, actually, David. It's also like Sam was talking about this, about like he doesn't want his call it GPT-5 to be a sycophant in the sense that it is just like a digital extension of you. It's something that challenges your thinking, which I think is an important distinction to make, that it will absolutely hold you to account and say, no, I think that's a really bad idea. But the problem, I guess, of having like this AI is like, who decides what the single standard of truth is and what the best practice is? We need some engagement and some involvement on that. And we'll have a different model so we can like play around a little bit. So then I'm really curious to see what Claude comes back with. But to me at the moment, dude, I don't know what your sense on it is, but it feels like OpenAI and Anthropic seem to actually be, the other ones are floating around, but there's the only two ones that anybody I know that uses AI are typically using on a regular basis. A couple use Gemini, but it doesn't seem to have the same kind of pull through at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I would say OpenAI and Anthropic are like the rank 1. Then rank 2, I would put probably Meta AI. And then rank 3, I would put Google, Gemini, and then XAI, like Twitter, Elon, because they have the biggest cluster right now. So I would not underestimate them. But in terms of like actual results that came from them, it's nowhere near as Llama, Meta, OpenAI, and Anthropic.
No, I was going to ask you actually, like, where you think the bigger business opportunity sits. Do you think it's in utility in terms of like businesses, startups, SMEs, or is the market that kind of like girlfriend AI, boyfriend AI, loneliness, best friend AI, kind of chill, more like D2C, this is now integrating your life? Because it becomes a product you cannot live without, and it naturally lends itself to subscription income. I don't see why anybody wouldn't be on £100 a month subscription income for this kind of AI.
Yeah, I think people will be, but I would say like that's the easy thing, because like nobody's gonna pay. I shouldn't say that people will pay thousands of dollars for AI girlfriends, but I was about to say like those will probably be like, again, those like $20 type of subscriptions, right? Let's say AI therapist, there'll be like 5 different companies doing it. If somebody's charging $200, I mean, you probably use the $20 one if it's, even if it's a bit worse. But I think like actually, let's say a company like Perplexity decides to build this like all-powerful agent that really is for productivity, can talk to you in your voice, can access your to-do list, your goals, your emails, your Slack messages. That could be a $500 a month subscription. And I think a lot of people will pay for that, especially, if it will be well integrated into all apps, all APIs. And it's not that far away. I mean, I think it's even possible with current technology. Like, Jax, more than anybody, integrating different APIs, different softwares, different AIs together. It's very possible already. We just need to, make it a simple UI, available on all platforms, iOS, Android, Windows, macOS, Linux, and, make it easy to use for people. And that's it. That's a probably $100 billion company.
It is like, I feel like most of the innovation now is in like the interfaces across which you use the technology. And like, I don't mind talking into like the app. I think that's cool. But the more those barriers are removed, I think it's just going to get crazy. What would be cool is if you could create your voice, monetize and sell it on GPT to download. Like, Why has that not been done? That would be epic, right? Like you want to like have a conversation with Morgan Freeman. Cool. Well then, there you go. You can have it. Like I feel that's like there's so many areas they could take the GPT store in, but they've kept it quite flat in my view at the moment.
But again, like they only have like 400, 500 employees, right? So they cannot do everything. And I think they're like, think about it from the potential resources, right? They might get like tens of millions of dollars by doing this, or they could just work on a new model and increase their valuation by 10, 20 billion, right? So I think it's basically not worth their time, especially given the average level of an OpenAI employee. And again, if OpenAI isn't doing it, that's even more opportunity for people like you and me and the people watching. You know, I think there'll be thousands, tens of thousands more companies that are doing between like 1K a month and 100K a month, run by 1-2 people, right? And a bunch of AI agents, where somebody will decide to build like, you know, I mean, Morgan Freeman, obviously there will be copyright, but let's say some similar sounding voice, right? And then market it that way. Or let's say like Arnold Schwarzenegger inspired fitness app that's actually talking to you, that, you know, can see you maybe through your phone front screen camera, something like that. And there will be countless of those apps, and everybody have different preferences. And those apps will be doing like, you know, $1,000s a month or tens of thousands, whatever. But now that people like building apps is easier than ever before, I think it only gives more opportunity to the small builders to fill those gaps in the market.
That's a good point. The thing, obviously, when they're thinking about like enterprise valuation for OpenAI, they often think about its B2B and its SaaS subscriptions, because D2C SaaS, it's like, you know, with churn and stuff. That said, though, one thing OpenAI has that I think is very valuable is a platform.
Yeah.
And they can't do all things, definitely not. But I wouldn't write off stuff like that, because I think leveraging their platform for things like a marketplace, like, okay, I'll give you a good example, the App Store. Yeah, there's no reason why you couldn't create a app store within an app store within GPT. You see what I'm saying? Especially, I know this isn't like a crypto show, but this is about what I want to talk about, right? But ultimately, like, if these models can enact transactions for you, you could just have a percentage fee on every transaction. Do you see what I'm saying? So I actually think the model itself can become a bit of a platform. Like there's a platform avenue that could go down and explore that.
It's funny that you mentioned this, because that seems like an obvious use case of, you know, Bitcoin Lightning Network. Because once we have AI agents making transactions for us, there's no way we're using banks with credit card feeds and with like, you know, approval rates of like multiple business days across continents. It's a nightmare. It'll just be Bitcoin Lightning Network in a few milliseconds. Nobody has to approve it. You know, it's automatically approved. And yeah, I think that's like once AI agents really start to be prevalent, like in all aspects of every of our lives, and once they start making payments, then I think we'll start seeing the rise of, you know, crypto, Bitcoin, other technologies going with it, because they cannot use credit cards. I mean, there is no way, especially if they're paying for like few cents of some like small licenses, right? Really micro payments, stuff that now doesn't even exist, because right now, like the smallest thing we buy online are like $5 maybe. You know, we don't really make payments in less than $1. But once AI agents start making payments, it might be like, you know, join this API for, you know, 30 credits or free trial for this, but it won't be really free. It will be like 1 cent, so it cannot be like a complete bot, right? I think those transactions will become super more popular, and that will unlock a need for something else than traditional payments and banking.
That's actually a great point, because like I think like the size of a transaction is prohibited by the financial system, right? Like how they process transactions. Yeah, and you'd have rules with these agents about like approvals and what they could do. And if you could transact a thousandth the size of a cent, that opens up way more kind of mini transactions, right? It's like someone even floated the idea, and I'm not really close to the theories. This is just like Jackology, but the idea that like likes had like a monetary value behind them as well, like a financial attachment. These agents can't open bank accounts, so they need something to use to transact on your behalf. And everybody's already using it, right? I mean, like, what the total number of users for ChatGPT? I'm going to Google it right now, actually, just as a little for instance. I mean, 180.5 million users on ChatGPT. I mean, like, as it gets more integrated technology, it gets incorporated into our hardware, that number only goes up.
Think of AI, I mean, Apple Intelligence, right? Think of that. That is coming in the next few months. Like, that was the main selling point for iPhones 16 and 16 Pro, was the Apple Intelligence features and the upgraded Siri. Once that Siri can actually open your apps and do stuff in them, I mean, that's, you know, now Apple can charge $3,000, $4,000 for a phone, because it will make you insanely productive.
Because then it's more of a question of how they use it. So does OpenAI get into the hardware, or does Apple get into the software? Like, it's bizarre they've not done the software. I think I need to check this. I'm not fully up to date, but I think they are developing their own thing. But then they have like a Claude and a ChatGPT as a backup, I think.
Apple. I mean, Apple, they have their own like image models and stuff like that. But for advanced queries, they have a partnership with OpenAI. So if I had to make a safe prediction, I think OpenAI will definitely not do hardware. That's too difficult. Apple might do some, easy LLMs for easy use case, but they might just use OpenAI because they have the best models, right? So I think it's a win-win partnership for both. And there's over, I think, billion people with an iPhone, right? So once that really becomes prevalent, that will really unlock the AI boom, because people don't have to like manually know about ChatGPT. It'll just be in the apps. It'll be like, rewrite this email, right? Or generate a custom emoji, whatever it is, it'll be there. And I think that'll be a boom of AI.
I guess it gets explosive when we have AIs talking to AIs. Like I've done a lot of like email automations recently about like creating drafts or like responding to stuff, which is not released yet, but the model you essentially get to is you are here, and then you have all these AIs above you interacting with other AIs. I even saw, did you have a date? There's a guy who's dating, and like he's like outsourced it to an army of VAs, and they're like on the apps like having conversations, and then when they're warmed up, they get sent over to the DMs on Instagram for him to close. And I was like, dude, it's like every interface we have, I think it's just going to be led by these little specialized, like Riz AI, or like, I don't know. You can imagine.
Okay, but is that a negative thing though? Like that's the point. Is that?
I don't think it's necessarily negative, but I think that's you go from doing the do to being the overseer of everything, and you just sign off on things.
I think it's like actually inspiring if you encompass it as like you are really the CEO of your life. As you said, AI agents, they won't be able to start bank accounts or create crypto wallets. You will do that as the CEO. Like a new intern in a company cannot like go and get his own company credit card and like have everything pre-approved. No, the manager gives him the credit card and tells him what he can do and what he cannot do. That'll be the same thing. Like we will be the managers, we will be the CEOs of our own life, and the AI agents will be doing stuff. And for dating, it might actually be good, even though on first glance it's dystopian, right? If you actually care about certain qualities, you won't be like deceived by images like, oh yeah, I really want a girl that wants kids. But then this hot girl that is like no kids, in the bio, but fuck, she's hot, man. And then you get aside from your goals. The AI agent will not be not be fooled. He will know exactly what you want, and it will save plenty of time, both on the girl side, on the men's side. And in terms of emails, it's the same. Like, right now, me and you received emails. Easily 90% could be ignored completely, right? That's what the AI agent will do. It will filter through, remove the 90% that are useless, take the 5% that are important, leave it to us, and the 5% that it doesn't know, we will simply train it. Like, here's how I would respond. So in the future, that gets smaller and smaller. But I think it will be an amazing way of saving time.
I agree. Yeah, like having Riz AI, yeah, that'd be quite funny. It's like, but it's also like you don't want to over optimize on the efficiency side. You need some randomness baked in there, don't you? Where like it will just do, it will give you things that you're not expecting occasionally. We're not too far away, but there's a little bit of time before we reach that. So I think grasping these technologies now, connecting them in intelligent ways, is an amazing way to get ahead. Like that's something that you could be doing right now. I think a lot of this stuff with the right amount of coffee, you could probably build a lot of this stuff already, to be fair. This is just about pushing it mass market.
I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. There's just so many different applications and potential business use cases. I mean, you mentioned dating, right? In dating alone, it's like how many guys are just like completely incompetent in texting, right? There will be apps that will be worth billions of dollars purely from texting girls, because a lot of guys just, they don't know what to say. So they will pay rather a $10, $15, $20 a month subscription to get better results. And it'll be the same like in different areas of life. And again, OpenAI is not going to touch those small markets because they have bigger fish to fry.
Hey, just use their API and everything will be absolutely fine. But they've got to work hard for OpenAI to not become a commodity. Like there has to be a strong and continued point of differentiation with OpenAI for it to stay on top. Because one thing that I learned with the whole Claude 3.5 thing was that like, dude, people will move quickly. Yeah. They will move very quickly.
Very easy
they
to
no longer feel you the best and cheapest. It's too easy. It's just one little piece of code. That's it.
But I think it's that has to be how it is, because the payouts are so grand. Not even talking about like API costs, making billions of dollars from that, but like achieving super intelligence, right? There is no bigger potential reward than that. So the competition better be huge, and the companies better do their best to overtake themselves, right? If it was OpenAI all the way and nobody would even consider other APIs, I think that would be actually kind of worrying because they would have like such a massive monopoly, and then the future of the world would be just Sam Altman's decision.
I agree. And we need open source. We need open source in that mix as well for exactly that reason. But it's also good. I feel like a good, strong competitor pushes you to be better anyway. Like lots of the big companies, like Klarna said that about ClearPay. There's lots of examples of this. Like they pushing the innovation and stuff does make a difference, makes a huge difference. But I think OpenAI seems to try to be as responsible as possible in the ways that they release their products, to try and think about. I mean, a lot of people disagree with that statement, but like if you take like the Sora, that was teased to it, that must have been like a year ago that came out?
February,
or at least 6 months ago. February. Okay, yeah. So, 7 months ago, excuse me, that came out. When it drops and it works, that's instantly disruptive. I edge to more, like, I like the kind of chaos side of it. I'd rather there be more chaos and just release it and go.
Yeah, same.
I think they're trying to be, so people have to pull me back, like, no, we need guardrails. I know, forget the guardrails. Get the technology out, because I just want to explore and make magic happen. But they seem to be pulling things back. I still don't know what they're waiting for on Sora. Like, I'm glad they brought the voice. I really appreciate it, but I'd love to see more on the video gen as well.
I guess it's really the election, but yeah, it's kind of sad that 7 months in AI, it's like, that's forever, right? So imagine all the good things that could have already been created, entire movies, like YouTube channels with it, like so many potential careers and pieces of education and entertainment could have been created, but they're not because they're scared of somebody making a funny Donald Trump video. I don't know, man. I think I agree with you. It should be absolutely released faster. But, maybe Grok 3 from XAI will surprise us, or maybe Llama 4 from Zuck and Meta AI will be, better. And once I think the open source models really catch up, like even if it's for a time period, right, until OpenAI and Anthropic release the next thing, that would be a real shock, I think, because, imagine if Llama 4 released tomorrow and it was much better than, all the closed source models and everybody switched to it and somebody, within a week, within 2 weeks found a way to make it unrestricted. I mean, it's the Wild West.
It is absolutely crazy. But you make a good point. It's 7 months ago. What was the point in releasing? Like, I get maybe it's just saying, hey, we're building it, but like, you just get a bit like annoyed, I feel, as an end user sometimes. It's like they're like dangling this carrot, like really cool technology. We're really excited about it, but then there's no application. I guess they do it for like, brand visibility or whatever, but like I would love to see more surprise drops, like with the voice. But again, even that was teased like 6 months ago, wasn't it? Like when they released
at least 5, 6 probably, yeah. But imagine that, like if they actually release the Sora, maybe already we would have Sora 2. Like, let's say they release it, they get 2 months of user feedback, and then 5 months of focus, and we could have Sora 2 by now. Like, who knows, man? It's just so much wasted human potential and technological potential.
What's the one thing you would really love to see you haven't got yet?
From OpenAI or in general?
I guess, OpenAI or general, if you like. What's the big thing that you'd like?
Okay, so for me, what I would want is completely reliable AI agent permanently sitting in Todoist, which is the task management app I use, constantly sorting my tasks because I have a unique problem. Like every day I think of like 10 to 50 new things that I want to do, and I put them in there, and then I have to sort them and prioritize the task and figure out what is actually important, what is a distraction. I want an AI agent that's fine-tuned on my knowledge and my priorities and my goals, sitting there 24/7, so I can open it anytime and I see these are the top 3 important tasks, these are the next top 3, and list of the tasks I need to do. And let's say I'm feeling like my physique is a little bit behind. You tell it that, and it resources prioritize health more, right? And let's say I haven't been doing any dating lately, right? Boom, it prioritizes dating tasks more. Or let's say my business has been stagnating. It prioritizes business tasks more. Like that would be such an insane unlock for me. It would save me 45 minutes a day at least.
I would like the voice AI to be, the agent to be connected to, again, like all the information I have in real time. So it knows how long you're at the gym, what you're doing, what you're up to. People think this sounds terrible. I think this sounds amazing. I will say, everyone's very quick to go to all these alternative dystopian universes. Dude, I think this is just epic. It makes you more productive, makes you better about the things you want to do, and you get the bird's eye perspective. More realistically, if I could just connect it to all the data really easily and give it the ability to reach out to me and have better retained context, not forgetting things after X number of messages, would be insane. It would be absolutely insane.
And I think it's right that people are skeptical, like any technology, but I think the answer is open source models. If it's completely running locally on your phone, right, you don't have to worry that OpenAI, Anthropic, whatever, is stealing the data and analyzing it. If you can enable airplane mode, disable, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and it still works. You know it's running locally on their phone, right? So that is the solution, I think, and I think that's why open source is so important.
Yeah, and you can fine tune it by saying like, hey, like, how would you like me to be? Do you want on a scale of like 0 to 10, direct, very indirect? Do you want me to be brutal? Do you want me to be funny? Like, if you see like Interstellar, where it's like, robot, what's your humor setting? It's like, dude, knock it down to 20. We don't want it to be too high. Like that kind of calibration. So you're essentially building like an EA, an AI EA. To come in, and then all we do once the AI EA exists and we can calibrate it, we just fine tune the calibration and just increase its connections to different things and its sphere of influence on you. But you control at all times. But I guess that you just become less reliant on also yourself, but you're outsourcing this stuff to these AI, so it becomes pretty exceptional.
Yeah, and before that exists, for those listening, there'll be thousands, tens of thousands of opportunities to build these custom automations and agents for people that are using this software and they want to put it together, right? And before there is like this AI that is like omnipresent and you can use any API, can interact with anything, there will be those agents that are specific, those automations that are, very niche, very narrow for one specific thing. And, maybe for most people it's useless, but for that one business or that one company that's using those two softwares, it'll be worth thousands of dollars.
Completely agree. And this is why like there's never been a better time to get into AI to learn how to build these things, because you almost want to get a head start on it. Like yes. When I did my community meetup recently, I met literally several people that told me they'd made like 15, 18K with like the kind of technology, either with automations or just building the stuff. So there's like money to be made today, there's progress to be made today, but it's also like it would be unreasonable for us to not be in a world that looks similar like that in the near future. And you don't want to wait until it's like overwhelmingly obvious to get started. I think it's like listening to like podcasts like this, conversations like this, and thinking about that stuff is really helpful to do earlier on, so you can build up your skill sets so you're ready to rock and roll. Even if it's just keeping abreast with AI news, that's great. But if you think it's going to be good, like it's good to upskill yourself on tools and get learning and just have fun with it while it's a bit nascent and developing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think waiting is one of the worst things people can do. Like people always think of the perfect business idea, I've heard like, oh my God, I'm not going to start reaching out to people. My Instagram profile isn't big enough. Like, what are you talking about? There is no time to wait, especially in the AI space, right? You wait a few months and your idea is completely obsolete, right? So like you need to start doing stuff and you need to start learning things. And there is no way to fail, especially in AI, because even if your business fails, you learn so much in the process. You learn how to build a tool, how to use the APIs, how to reach out to people, so that the next thing you try has a much higher likelihood of success. And there is nobody that will fail 100 times in a row, right? You will hit it sooner or later. Some people, depending on what skills you had before, it will be faster, some people will be slower, but it doesn't matter. What you need to do is start taking action. It's easy just listening to podcasts and watching videos. What's hard is, creating an account on ChatGPT, using it, creating a downlink cursor, creating an account on make.com, building automations. That is where the friction is. So you have to push through the friction and start doing something.
You do. You want to be ideally at the forefront, at the cusp of where the innovation, the automation is happening. That's where the value is, and that's where the money is for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. But dude, I'll tell you, in our next podcast, dude, I'm gonna hopefully get my hands on this audio, have some fun with it, think of some ace automations to share. And
hey, listen,
dude,
maybe
I'll watch.
Maybe our next podcast will be with ChatGPT as well, for the guest.
We'll get it on the line. We'll get Morgan Freeman AI on the line. We'll get him joining our conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.